sanitation, religious issues, chieftaincy, we have the right man in the studio this morning to interact with us. He is the Minister for, yes, you guessed it, local government, chieftaincy, and religious affairs. And he is in the person of Ahmed Ibrahim. He joins me in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
It's good to have you join the conversation this morning. I hope you're well.
It's always a pleasure to be at Joy News, where we started and where we are still.
Where you started and where you are still. Give me a bit of the history. Tell me about what Joy News has done in your life. Maybe this is time for you to give witness in church. Testimony.
Testimony time.
Testimony time.
Let me say a very good morning to our cherished viewers. And this being the very first time I've been here ever since I became a Minister of State. I have to thank the good people of Ghana for electing the president for us, and to thank the president and his wife for giving us the opportunity, for we also catching their eye to be part of his cabinet. It has not been easy to choose 60 out of over 33 million Ghanaians. And therefore, if I'm qualified to play in the Blaster, it's a privilege and honor. And I thank everybody for that. Yeah, you were curious to know why I said where we began. You know, Joy News started with Adum FM in Tema Community 2. And we were staying in Accra. Those days when we came to Parliament in 2009, you needed to wake up very early, go to
make that journey.
Yeah, go to Tema, go and be hosted by Adum FM. And the people in the constituency used to listen to Adum FM very well. Then gradually, they moved here, added the Adum TV, then Joy News, and the rest. And gradually, it has become like the Al Jazeera of our time. And I cannot forget this, because if not Joy News, Adum TV, Adum FM, that gave us the voice. Even though we're in Parliament, broadcasting our voice and broadcasting Parliament would have been very problematic. But since then, it's like we've become like a family. When I see Kwejo Fojo, I see, those days it used to be Kwejo Fojo, Efia Pukia, Adakabref, so Ekoba. So yeah, these were the theme, but gradually they started departing. And some of your people have been faithful up to date. So when we see their flash, we have to honor the call, because you must remember where you started from. Maybe we were many. Mambach, for instance, on our side, we were 46 MPs. We, those who used to be vocal and used to visit the radio, befriended, partner with the media, some of us are still there. And on our side of NDC, my classmates, we are left with only 4. And the 4 of us are some people who are always not shy of the media. So the media is a partner of the politician. A politician cannot do without the media. Even though sometimes there are hiccups and sometimes there are problems if you are too frequent with the media, because people may hear you and misconstrue you. And you need to know how, if you fall, you rise. If you fall, you rise. Other than that, you'll be shy of the media, and that will be a doom to you. So Joy News contributed gradually to bringing us, and we are here now. And my constituents always listen to Joy News and Adum TV very well. There are a lot of people who will not tell you that, oh, we saw you in Parliament, but they will say, oh, Mitasho wo bedwam. Mitatio wo Adum FM. Mitatio wo Joy News. And that in itself is like a collateral positivity for us.
A collateral blessing. Well, it's good to know that at least in our own minuscule way, we've helped shape your career, and that we've had a positive impact on where you are.
Not even only where I am. It's like positive impact in Ghana, that you are opening up Ghana. Those days it used to be Radio Ghana, Radio 1. And when there are variety of media houses where people can have a choice, and people can even have their famous broadcasters where they listen to newsmen who they always trust. Like my mother has her journalist. So if I go and I'm telling them, no, if I don't hear it from this place. So she already has, anytime you go to her house, her radio or TV is always tuned to one radio station. And here, So whatever you tell her, if she hears it from the media house, then that becomes the gospel truth. People are glued to individual stations. So you have increased the variety and professionalism and always starting the pace in the private media. So keep it up.
All the time. But let me just quickly find out, check in briefly. What's the Banda constituency? How's it faring, your constituency?
Oh, clearly there's joy in Bana, because this is the very first time we've gotten a minister. We've never gotten a deputy minister before. Never gotten
a full ministerial portfolio
position before, and never gotten a cabinet minister before. And this is the very first time we've gotten those three in one. And therefore, everybody there is happy. The expectations there are also very high. And you know, it's not going to be a missed opportunity. We are trying to bring everybody on board to make sure that we capitalize on it and get a turnaround for the fortunes of the people there. So Bana, as I'll tell you, I created the constituency. It used to be Wenchi West, then came to Tyne, then to Bana. So, and I've been there for the past 17 years. There was no secondary school. I sent secondary school there. Almost all schools, apart from 3 schools, were schools under trades. I helped to eliminate schools under trades.
How did you achieve that feat?
You know, I've been privileged to be a leader in Parliament for the past 13 years.
You were in the 7th Parliament?
I came
the 7th Parliament?
5th.
You came from the 5th?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, I see.
So this is my 5th term. And therefore, every youth who is below 20 years or 24 years, I've impacted.
They would have felt your impact.
I've impacted in their lives. I've turned around. So most of them don't know Banadem. And that is a credit.
Of course.
And most of them don't know Banadem, because those days when I inherited my predecessor, we were the last but one district in the GSS performance, the whole Ghana. And people could not pass JHS and go to SHS. And because there were no adequate classrooms, inadequacy of teachers, inadequacy of classrooms, inadequacy of teacher and learning materials, and the place was, sending a teacher there was like a punishment. There were no teachers as well. You can tell it was the most underprivileged among the Bono Ahafo region, the then Bono Ahafo region. And therefore, whenever a teacher misbehaved, there were 2 places they could send him. Then that teacher will look sharp.
But now the story has changed.
Exactly. But now government workers go there, and even some don't want to be transferred. It tells you how the opportunities have changed. It used not to be like that. So clearly, if you are talking of the life of Bana, they used not to even qualify to go to SHS. And some do not even have. You know that the bane of Ghana's underdevelopment in certain areas now is Kayai. This Kayai. The social languages, rural urban migration, it used to be very high in Bana. So when I came, I said, no, this thing, I will change it. And I had my own plans and my own strategies in changing it, because I targeted it from the source. And by the grace of God, as I speak to you now, the story is different. And once I'm in the national media or national television, I must say it for my colleagues to also hear what I have done differently and to also learn from how to do it. The question is, how did I do it? And
briefly on that point.
When I assumed that office and realized that we were the last but one out of 138 districts, we were 137. I went to the universities to see our students who were there, brothers who were there, and to tell them the story. And when I went to Cape Coast, UCC, and the whole country, the number of students from the constituency to the tertiary institution were only 12. So you can imagine how deplorable the place was. And I told them, so when you vacate, go there and do vacation classes. Then I came to youth employment and recruited a lot of youth employment teachers. Send them to the place, about 322 of them, and shared them among the schools. And they went and taught during vacation. They went and taught the teachers, and they were giving me the problems or the reasons why teachers were not accepting postings there, the reason why the students were not doing well, the reason why there were rural urban migration, advocacy of teachers, lack of poor classrooms. So I needed to fix them. So if you go there today, you could see that apart from the new schools that we are trying to let government absorb, there is no school under a tree in the constituency or the district now.
There's no school under a tree in the Banda constituency? Unless
it is a new one we are creating, yet to be absorbed. Well, that's you have to create, absorb before government will build.
I see. That's quite a feat, and we hope that it is maintained that way, and that, like you said, now other constituencies can also replicate that.
Exactly. Right. And the SHS too. I started free SHS in 2011 in Ghana. When Ghanaians...
This free SHS table you are shaking.
I used the MP Common Fund, MP Get Fund, all the funds that they are giving to MP, then give it to the headmaster, pay everybody's school fees. That's what I used to do. Right. I started in 2011, and when the JHS people knew that if I pass, there is MP scholarship or MP free SHS that will go, it increased the morale at the JHS level. And they started doing well. And those who did well, then I had to mentor them, make sure that I coach them. Some went to police, some went to immigration. So when they went their uniform and go to the constituency, the parent who was not interested in taking her child to school will now, school to say until Yabano, and that increased the momentum. So if you go there today, education is now a necessity. And that in itself is my passion.
Like I said, hopefully that is sustained and things don't retrogress.
Sustainability, I don't want to say as long as I'm there. I want it to be a culture.
Right.
And there are a lot of youth that I'm training. So when you go there, mentorship is a challenge. But I am trying to make sure that I bring a lot of the youth closer to me.
Kudos to you for that. Let's get into your ministry. I mean, Deputy Minority Chief Whip, and then
I started as Deputy Majority Chief Whip.
Deputy Majority Chief
then
Whip, of course. Yes, that is in this current, yes, Deputy Majority Chief Whip.
No, I started in 2013 as Deputy Majority Chief Whip.
Right. Then you came to
Deputy
Minority.
Then Deputy Minority. Then ended in Deputy Majority.
So you've done what? A switch twice. You switched twice.
Yes.
So switch from majority to minority, then minority to majority.
Then I jumped to cabinet.
and now you've got that ministerial position, making the Bono area look very good. In fact, your constituency, giving them a minister.
Yeah.
The issue then is, now that you're a minister for local government, chieftaincy, religious affairs, my first thought would be what your vision is for that ministry. Because first off, it's so many things put together. Exactly. And some of these were separate in the past.
Yeah.
What's your vision, and how do you hope to handle this I don't want to call it a burden, but this yoke that has been put around your neck?
To begin with, the president has a vision. And the ministry is an old and a new ministry. And don't forget, that is how it used to be. For a long time, Chieftaincy is an agency or department under the Ministry of Local Government. Sanitation also used to be a function under the Ministry of Local Government.
Indeed.
Then culture, all those kind of agencies that are operating the religious affairs, all those, they all used to be under the Ministry of Local Government. Until 2000, around 2005, when President Kufuor created the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Then in 2017, when the water and sanitation alone was also taken away, and water was taken from works to create one ministry.
Sanitation and water.
Water and sanitation and water resources. And when that happens, the ministries begin to do what we call duplication of functions. And they begin to work in silos. Because a function that could properly be done by the local government ministry, sanitation will tell you it is not your function. And that is why sanitation became a problem. A problem because, one, the sanitation ministry did not have presence in every district. But the local government ministry have presence in every district. And that is why sometimes the telepathy was not there, and speaking to a ministry speaking to another ministry was also problematic. So the vision of the president, and which will translate and inform you about the vision of the ministry. Because before the president passed the EI1, the president had a vision. And the president has been an assemblyman before, and he knew how local government used to function when President Mahama was an assemblyman. Now, from assemblyman, he became a member of parliament, a deputy minister, a minister, a vice president, a president, and a former president, back to the presidency. So he knows the problems of the sector and how to reset it. In resetting, all the agents of development in that sector must be brought on the table. It will be like a politician who is saying that we are politicians and therefore we have nothing to do with the media. That means you are going to work and nobody is going to hear what you are going to do, or nobody is going to see what you have been doing. You need to work in partnership. So the vision of the president is to make sure that he brings accountable and responsible governance. How will you do it? One key pillar of our culture and development are the chiefs. Before modern governance, the chiefs were the custodian of our development, our culture, agents of our development, everything. And even when modern governance, colonial masters came, they realized that everything was around the chiefs. And if you remember, that is why they brought what we call indirect rule.
Right.
So the white man himself knew that you could not go about the modern governance or governance, other district commissioner, or they used to call them councillors or district commissioners those days. You could not let them do their work without the chiefs. Because the people own allegiance to the chiefs, they were aligned to the chiefs. The chiefs were the leaders and agents of transformation and development. And that's how they used to do it. So if the white man himself, who brought governance, realized that this is the way to go, how much more we ourselves. And in our communities, the chiefs could even impose some kind of levies. The chiefs could organize communal labors. And people, the spirit of communalism was there. And the people spoke with one voice. And the chiefs had their council of elders. So where they could meet, and even sometimes form ad hoc committees about certain functions, and certain development. Even initiation of most secondary schools were the initiatives of those chiefs. However, when those initiation of even market were the initiatives of the chiefs. However, when those things get to a certain place, then you bring somebody and say, oh, this man is now the district chief executive. He could impose levies and collect those things. Then the chiefs are now reduced to even sitting there as ceremonial leaders, receiving politicians when they come to their palaces and pouring libation and all this. Those who were the true development leaders. So the president has identified that there's a problem there. Let's bring back the chiefs on the table. And once you are bringing back the chiefs, you are bringing back a forgotten and neglected pool of resources. But when you
say bring back the chiefs to the table, the chiefs
they were neglected and marginalized.
How were they neglected and marginalized? In the erstwhile administration, there was a ministry for chieftaincy.
The Ministry of Chieftaincy's role was to be as an interface between the chiefs and the government. That was the role of the Ministry of Chieftaincy.
There was still a nexus. There was still some communication. There was still, there were attempts to resolve some issues as far as chiefs were concerned.
No.
That also is what reflects under your leadership.
There were attempts to do what?
I mean, it was a channel. It was a way of engaging the chiefs and also helping resolve their issues.
By this particular time, the chiefs are functions from the center to the region to the district. The chiefs are part of it. So whatever.
So what you can say is you are deepening.
That's what
you are deepening, but it's not to say
that's what I said. I said the president wants to deepen responsible and accountable governance. So if it is some resources that are transferred from the center to the district, the chief will know. I had a DC who, when even his party people met him, also Sikamai. But this time, the chiefs will know. If money comes, they will know. If money doesn't come, they know. And The bane of Ghana's underdevelopment is lack of information and lack of accountability. So this time is not just responsible and accountable. Responsible, accountable, and transparent governance. Well, the pastors are there, and every DC is a member of a church. Either a member of a church or a member of a faith, either a Muslim, a Christian, a traditionalist. If you're a traditionalist, the chiefs are there. If you are a Christian, the religious leaders are there. If you're a Christian, the Muslim, the imams are there. So when president comes with certain resources are transferred from the center to you, and the president has categorically stated, I'm bringing 80% of this resource, DACF, to you. I'm giving you the power to be able to be responsible for property, collection of property rate and all those kind of things. Brother. And your chief is aware. And the Minister for Finance has assured that this money will go on quarterly basis. My brother, who can hide which information? So now, they are beyond the transparency, beyond the responsible governance, there is accountable governance. And from time to time, even as I'm speaking to you after next week, you see my good self moving from region to region, district to district. So whatever resource is sent, we'll use the media to let everybody know. The people must know the president's performance. So it's transparency. That one is going to be our hallmark. But if you look at President Mohammed's eyes, his eyes are deeply on transparency and accountability. And that's why we, the ministers, we are always being warned and always being cautioned. And we must translate the president's vision to the people. So the vision of forming this tripartite ministry, chiefs and religious affairs, sanitation, and assembly, district assembly officials, is to make sure everybody that matter in the district is brought on table for development. And though the reset agenda is all hands on deck, and that is the core pillar of the district.
So consolidation. You are consolidating. To streamline how work is done. That's what you're saying.
That is part of it, but that is not the only thing. You're working in silos, a duplicity of resources and waste of resources. Right. You understand that?
Right. But let me just quickly get into this as well. Since you started hard on the front of chiefs, there are also chieftaincy disputes sprinkled, across the nation, from Nkwanta and its own issues that it has had to Boku and others. What is your plan in terms of dealing with these issues?
The plan is number one, to depoliticize the chieftaincy front.
To depoliticize the chieftaincy front?
Yes, because there is excessive politicization of the chieftaincy front. And
who created that?
Right from the days of Nkrumah, have you read about when Nkrumah said the chiefs will run and leave their...
Yes, sandals.
Sandals. But that was, you and I, by that time, we were not born. And that was the bane of our... if you read about chieftaincy very well, I was privileged to read political science and to read about chieftaincy. So I read about chieftaincy very well. If you go deep back into the history of our chieftaincy system, they used to be revered as our pastors. Their problem started when they started collecting taxes and levies, and accountability became an issue. Then they started losing some of their respect. Then the indirect rule coupled with this so that the chiefs could be given certain things. That's how they started losing some of their respect. But that could not erode their total acceptability and respectability. But gradually, when the functions were taken away from them, the chiefs were the custodians of the land and everything. But the law says that every mineral, the land is for you, but any mineral under beneath the land is not for you. That is for the president. Is that not the case?
The president has to oversee that in the interest.
Exactly. So it's like the chiefs more or less have lost some of the power and those kind of things. But much attention from the days of they will run away and leave their sandals had not sat well with our chieftaincy institutions. So from there, gradually, their glory started eroding, and the politicians always started pushing.
But let me just say this. I'm a student of politics as well. Even before Nkrumah said the bit about they'll run away and leave their sandals, it had been seen that a number of chiefs were politically active, so to speak, which also precipitated some of what happened.
You are right.
Let's come back.
And that's why the Constitution says that our chiefs should not do active
partisan politics.
It's because of the experience from those activities. So even the Constitution recognizes that bringing the chiefs into active partisan politics could let the chiefs lose the glory that they are. And the chiefs are the anchor of our social fabric. If you lose your chieftaincy, and that's why Ghanaians are sometimes passionate and emotional when it comes to chieftaincy issues. So it's a resource that can be used in the positive way. And that is why the president saw the need that, no, let's bring back the chief on the table of development. So right from the traditional, the paramount council, traditional council, the paramountcy, then to the regional houses of chiefs, to the national houses of chiefs. Even the Constitution recognized their inclusion in certain government.
Mr. Ibrahim, you're making very valid points, but I just want to go back to my question briefly. I asked why this politicization had come to the fore, for which reason you are saying we have to depoliticize. Let me reframe it. To what extent have politicians in this Fourth Republic contributed to chiefs becoming as political as they are seen to be now?
Both parties are guilty of that, and you and I know that this is true. And it has gotten to the equilibrium, whereby if care is not taken, it can only break our social fabric. And that is why the president said, in resetting, let's bring them back. Can you imagine if you go to a district, and the district assembly, the chairperson of the district assembly is the DISEC, and DISEC meet, and district assembly meet, and they realize that chieftaincy is a problem there. And the chiefs, the imams, and the government officials who are the opinion leaders are that grassroots level. And brother, can't you think that they can even think, they can merge, knowing very well the truth from those unopinion? They can meet and find a way of bringing some kind of arbitration or negotiations to be able to solve some of those problems. Without it coming to the center, where do we, those who are always going to solve those problems, we have to listen to them and sometimes take certain positions that may be misinformed by, or we may be misled, but what we don't know from the grounds. Don't you think that is possible that way? So it's better every local council, every traditional council, headed by the district assembly, with the inclusion of the faith-based organizations and traditional authorities, will be able to solve and identify their problems and solve them better. But sometimes,
decentralizing the problem.
Sometimes the Supreme Court can give finality, but enforcement and compliance becomes problem. But sometimes, when you are able to bring arbitration, negotiation, dispute resolution, that kind of thing can be handled at the paramountcy level or at the local level. So this one will help reduce most of the disputes that we are talking of, if we are able to handle it well. So how are we going to do it?
Go ahead.
In doing it, we've recognized the challenges of the chieftaincy ministry as a whole. One, their lawyers don't have proper conditions of service, and therefore they are not interested in working there. Sometimes they compare themselves. You know, every regional house of chiefs has a council who assists in the judicial committees of those things. And the judicial committee members themselves are not lawyers, but they are assisted by a lawyer. The judicial committee members are chiefs because they deal with customary laws and those things. Sometimes they are bullied. But the lawyers in every region who is to assist them in all the 16 regions, their conditions of service cannot be compared with their colleagues in the Attorney General. So how we are doing it is, I'm talking to my brother, the Attorney General. Can you bring us some of the lawyers on secondment so that they will have conditions of service equivalent to their colleagues in the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General? If that is the case, it will help attract some of those lawyers, a number of lawyers, into the Ministry of Chieftaincy, local government chieftaincy and religious affairs. And that may help in the proper adjudication of cases. Then second one, the judicial committees sometimes are not able to sit because of allowances to pay their committee members. So when they sit in some of the cases for payment of those allowances and lack of appreciable allowances, they will adjourn the case to such a long period of time that it may prolong. By the time they finish one case, about 3 new chieftaincy dispute cases have been added. So these are some of the challenges. And how are we doing that? We are trying to find a way of making sure that we are able to enhance the conditions of service of not only the lawyers. We are able to let them be on secondment to enjoy those conditions of service.
Right.
Then we must be able to facilitate the judicial committees on targeted basis. Maybe if you go to some of the regions, like, I don't want to mention because of because it may be some kind of stigma, but some regions had a high number of chieftaincy dispute cases than others. So we may have to target and find a way of solving them.
So speaking of this targeting, just to streamline the conversation, the President, John Mahama's first visit after his inauguration on January the 7th, around January the 14th, he went to Boku. I just want us to focus on Boku for a bit. What's the plan? What's the plan to resolve this age-old problem? What's the plan?
Boku issue, knowing the stage where they have reached, that some powerful big men have been consulted by the president to handle it. And therefore, as a minister, until they finish and bring those fundings, I cannot be, because I'm privileged to know some of those information, and I cannot be bringing them out. Let the committee does it work. And I know people are even sacrificing voluntarily. The Otumfo, I don't even have to go further and mention it. They are all incurring their personal expenditure, supported by the president and all those things, in finding solutions. In fact, critical work is going on. And therefore, it should not be part of our discussions in making sure that we bring it on board. Especially me, who is privileged to some of those facts. This man is doing this man is doing this. It will let the kind of negotiations and arbitration.
I understand where you're coming from, but just to wrap on the chieftaincy institution, 2 things. What is your view in terms of chiefs as agents of development? I'm intentionally crafting it that way. That is the first one. And secondly, how can we harness the power of chiefs in the fight against galamsey? So 2 questions. Yeah,
chiefs as agents of development, they used to be our agents of development, and we've come far because of them, and they've become, sometimes they've been neglected and we are bringing them back. One, a district chief executive will go, Nana, it's better, we can't sit here waiting for government to President or Accra to come and do something. Can't we find a way of organizing communal labor to go and dig some pit latrine, excuse me for that word, to be able to stop open defecation and those kind of. There is a lot we can do with that money. But now the mindset is that everything is all about money. So the chiefs as agents of development will bring the inner drive of that chieftaincy institution to be able to propel and partner with the government officials to spearhead development. There's a lot they can do. Initiation of community projects, rejuvenation of communal labor and community spirit, the enhancement of social
work. Cleanliness. There's this
sanitation.
I've forgotten the name. Oftentimes, Captain Prince Amwabeng retired would bring it up. It's claimed it seemed to be the cleanest town in Ghana.
Is it Kushia?
Kushia.
Kushia is one. There are 3.
Yes.
Kushia is 1.
Yeah.
Dumasia in the Bruno region is 2. And Doma Inkru is the most neatest.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about it, because then tells you that chiefs can get involved to do things.
The paramount chief himself is the international ambassador to sanitation, and he has his own sanitation bylaw, and he's a judge, and those bylaws are enforced, and he has a task force in doing that. So we've learned from these 3 experiences, and we are going to capitalize on that, and there's a task force working on that.
I see. Okay. So on the bit about chiefs aiding in the fight against galamsey, just
the fight against
how you're going to
the chief have been disempowered. How can you disempower a policeman and be criticizing him for allowing crime to increase?
But they are custodians of the land.
They are custodians of the land but their power has been taken. You know, the day the Supreme Court ruled that Section 63D should be stricken out or should be revisited, and that no chief has the power. If a chief summons you to his palace and you don't go, he has no, you haven't committed any crime. That is where the problem starts. So the chiefs are saying that if you give us this power in our jurisdiction, see something, say something, we'll add, do something. If you see something, say something, and so what? See something, say something, do something. The active part of the see something, say something is the doing part. So give us that power. If we sit in our palaces and somebody guarantees invade our jurisdictional areas, we can summon them to the palace. If they refuse to come, we'll find a way of doing it. Then it's a crime has been what? Committed. So the chiefs are sometimes being blacklisted, blackmailed. Oh, chiefs are even part of the Galamsey, and because of that, most of them are here. See, but the chiefs are not at Accra. You sit in your jurisdiction, and a powerful man bring a paper that look, I've been sent from Accra, I've been given concession in your land to come and man, brother. How can you embark upon the verification and all those kind of things? Tomorrow you send people to call and you say, well, I won't come. I'm doing prospecting, but before prospecting, you know that the man brought letter that is going to do prospection, but it is not prospection that he's doing. He is doing mining. So the chiefs must be empowered and their power must be strengthened to partner government in the fight against Galamsey. Then when you give them the power and those actions are going on, then the chiefs themselves, the paramount chiefs themselves can now be blamed or can now be, I don't want to use the word.
They can bear some responsibility.
Exactly.
And even when the chiefs have tried to help, I know there's, is it Jema? There's an area where a chief, a reverend father, and a chief have been able to stand their ground against Galamsey. Even when the chief has health issues and they were trying to tell him, we'll pay for your, medical trip to South Africa and all of that, which is good. But in recent times, we've also heard of an incident where there was some illegal mining going on. And the chief, together with some others in the community, tried to stop them, seized some excavators, and the minister gave a call, that the regional minister, I'm sure you followed that story. If we engage in these actions,
which region was that?
I'll just get clarity. I don't know whether it's the Western region, my backroom staff, trying to remember exactly. But the call came. And I know Erastus.
Maybe somebody might have called self-styling himself.
It goes against the grain of exactly what you're saying, doesn't it? If you're trying to empower the chiefs and then you have members of your administration acting like this, what does it point to? And
you think that it's unfortunate you cannot remember the name of them.
I will get it for you.
And somebody, maybe it was a self-styled regional minister, but not a substantive regional minister. Because if that is the case, if I heard it as a local government minister, I could have called the regional minister for interrogation as well. It's my duty. So by the time I leave here, let me have the name. And even the mere fact that you've been told that is the regional minister doesn't substantiate the issue that he was the one who truly called the people that, look,
he said he had not been informed.
He has not been informed by who?
That this action was going to take place.
Oh, but sometimes the regional minister the regional minister is the head of RESEC. Is that not the case?
He is.
So maybe, but if you are to go that way, that a regional chairman of Regional Security Council, something of that action of that nature is happening, without the regional minister being informed, my brother, can't you think that terrorists can come to this country and they may become, and the Regional Security Council chairperson may not be aware, and he cannot sit down for such action to be going on. Much as we want to go and do certain action in certain jurisdiction, I think that respect must be given. Even if you don't trust them, thinking that way, if I tell the regional minister, he will tell them before we get there, they bolt away. He's still the regional minister and the chairperson of the regional security. If we don't work together, do you think we can get results?
All right, let's get into the issue of local governance as well. And it's a vast area. You have sanitation in there. You have the assemblies in there. There's so much work to be done, which is why some people are also looking at it and saying 3 in 1. How easy is it?
In actual fact, it's 2.5 plus. It's
2.5.
The sanitation and the water and the works is going to Western House.
Okay, you're right.
It's only sanitation that
has come under you. But at least it's still sanitation. And sanitation. If you look at the problem of sanitation in Ghana.
Sanitation used to be a local government issue. That's where it used to be. And they used to perform it very well. So I know that it's going to increase our hygiene situation in the country.
But in terms of dealing with sanitation, you do remember the promise that was made by the erstwhile president to make Accra the cleanest city.
The erstwhile president is no more there. Tell about that vision.
But I'm sure it's something that you will aspire to, that this administration will also aspire to make Accra and maybe generally the country.
You see,
from the Kushia example to the other places you mentioned. I'm sure you would want to do.
We've gone far with the, sometimes, I'm an action man. I do a lot without talking.
I see.
If I hadn't told you that I started free SHS in Ghana, will you believe that? Did you know about that? You didn't know.
It's not about the... You started in my
district.
Right, your district.
Exactly, right. In 2011. But that's why I kept on winning.
And if we are speaking of free SHS on the national scale, we would mention Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But even if you are talking of your district, you can mention Ahmed Ibrahim.
Exactly. But I'm telling you that I piloted it in Ghana.
Okay. Right.
In 2011, between 2011 to 2015. You understand? So I'm telling you that, but my interest was to change a situation, which I did. And my interest was to get the goods, which I did. And changing the situation and getting the goods translated into my electoral fortunes, which also happened. So sometimes it is not enough about working. You know that when you wanted to mention, I think you couldn't remember. I reminded you. And I added 2 more. And I told you what they have done right.
It is one thing knowing and one thing doing.
No, but we were mentioning best practices so that you learn from them. And that is how development should be. Development is contagious. When somebody is doing something positive, is one thing knowing about it. Secondly, how is he doing it? And thirdly, how can I also copy it? So we learn from those kind of people.
All right. So let me just go back to this issue very quickly, because I see someone commenting as well saying it's a regional chairman. You remember the issue I mentioned about the regional minister? Right. So I have the story now, and he is saying it's a regional chairman.
So it is not the regional minister?
No, it is. No. I'm not saying that. There's someone commenting saying it was the regional chairman. It is the minister. So the story, so it is the Tano area forest. And Forestry Commission officers, went there. There were some indigents trying to, stem the tide of the situation. The operation began. Armed policemen from the Enchi District and Divisional Police Commands entered the forest to confront the team.
From where?
Which was made up of soldiers and the Forestry Commission's Rapid Response Team. I don't know which division.
Armed policemen from...
And the Forestry Commission's Rapid Response Team. The point I want to highlight is that per the report we have, the Western North Regional Minister drove to the forest and instructed the task force to stop moving the seized equipment out of the forest, claiming he had not been informed of the operation. That was what I was mentioning earlier. So now you have your confirmation.
No problem. Western North Regional Minister.
Yes.
And I'll have to go, and when I get to the office, I will call him for further and better practice.
Now you can proceed.
Until then, I will not proceed on.
Good. But at least you asked me to confirm that.
I just needed the facts.
I've confirmed that.
Now that I have them, then it means I'll have to invite the Western North Regional Minister.
So you'll be interacting with the Western North Regional?
I must.
Okay.
You see, until I knew the name, I was defending him by saying that as head of Regional Security Committee, any action that you take there concerning security must be in the know. Much as we want to fight galamsey, we must also prevent terrorism.
Right.
And terrorism, minerals attract terrorists. So some of all those actions, we need to work together. And that is what I said in the beginning.
All right. So now that we've got that out of the way, back on the local government situation. So in terms of sanitation, like I said, we all want better sanitation. Some of the diseases that crop up from time to time stem from poor sanitation practices. What is the plan for Accra? What is the plan for Ghana generally?
In the first place, we started solving our sanitation issues from the days of President Kufuor. And that is where the Zoom Lion district, decentralized Zoom Lion issues started. Then a number of sanitation players also came on board. Then in the days of President Mills, when he also took the mantle from President Kufuor, he also continued prioritizing sanitation. So the Zoom Lion people cleaning the sand gas planning, all those things were in place. Then, after that, President Mahama also continued. Then he introduced what we call the National Sanitation Day, which is practiced in most parts of Africa. If you go to Nigeria, go to where they all practice it. And there's where emergency evacuation is carried on. There's where, then we move gradually, by the 2016 that we left power, we continued from the National Sanitation Day, and we were doing waste recycling. So we have waste recycling plant, integrated waste recycling plant, because it was not enough to be cleaning and dumping. So we moved from cleaning, evacuation to recycling. And that is why these days, when you are going around Accra, you don't see most of this plastic waste littered around, because people are even gathering them and selling, and people have, private participation has brought about establishment of factories to recycle those waste plastic into usable furniture, usable plastic for use and those. So as a country, right from the days of 2004, we have come far up to where we are now. However, with the change of government, the National Sanitation Day was also thrown out, because the policy was not backed by legislation. It was a vision of President Mahama and the former Minister for Local Government, who was Honorable Julius Tebra, the current Chief of Staff. So because of that, by the time because we threw the Sanitation Day away, and we could not, the government could also not pay the staff of Zoom Lion workers and all those things for about 2 years. So there was apathy and cleanliness, sweeping, all those things. Most of the functions were not properly done. So by 24th October 2024, Ghana was hit by cholera. About 581 people were affected. 58 districts they all got cholera. About 49 lives were lost. So in the prior to the 2024 campaign, President Mahama manifesto included the reintroduction of the National Sanitation Day.
So have you learned anything? Are you going to legislate on it this time?
We will start it and legislate to back it. That's the plan. So there's a task force. It was supposed to be launched today. However, the president gave a directive that we have to do it right. We must partner with the media, partner with the chiefs, partner with the faith-based organizations, the mosques and the palaces, the imams, the churches. Make sure that we trumpet it for people to see the need to get involved in the fight against sanitation. Because the 49 people who lost their lives, brother, as sitting here as NDC man, I don't know their political colors. I don't know how many NDC people died, and I don't know how many NPP people died. But it is about Ghana. 49
illness knows no political color.
That's it. And the 58 districts were not party offices. The 58 districts are in 58 homes and electoral areas. And the 581 people affected by cholera from the last year to this year, my brother, you cannot imagine. So fight against the poor sanitation is a collective responsibility, and it's a shared responsibility. That is why in the NDC manifesto, we said, let's reintroduce it. In the reintroduction, don't let us make it a partisan way. Use the chiefs, use the imams, use the pastors, and use the media, because there must be behavioral change. And if you want to bring a mental shift or some kind of behavioral change, the media is the best person to do that. How are you going to bring the media on board? So we are working with the media coalition to make sure that the print media will come on board. GIBA, the Independent Broadcasters Association, will also come on board. Then the social media, the bloggers, all of you, we are bringing all of you. The Ghana Journalists Association, we are bringing all of you on board. Let's all of us meet together. My brother, there is much you know that I might not know, because sitting here, a number of sanitation ministers have appeared before you. There were certain things they said that couldn't happen. There were certain good things that they wanted to do that they couldn't do. So if we bring you on board and we all come together to think Ghanaian, you will be able to profess certain solutions that will lead to the behavioral change. Because there must be change in behavior. And when you go to people said, let's include sanitation in our academic listen. Yes, if you go to primary school, to JHS, to SHS, poor sanitation is a topic that is treated in our schools. Do we practice it? In our days, we used to sweep our school compounds. So we used to practice sanitation. We're not learning sanitation. We used to practice
Things have changed now.
Things have changed. Right. So we need to come on the drawing board, share ideas about how best this thing can be done. So we are no more launching it today, which was supposed to be the 2nd of January. But we are launching it next month. And the actual National Sanitation Day is going to be on 3rd May. As for 3rd May, by that time, the district chief executives will be at post. So that when you launch it from Accra, the president will launch it in Accra, and we'll be cleaning Accra with the Greater Accra Regional Minister. Ashanti Regional Minister and the DCs and the pastors and the chiefs will be doing Ashanti Region. Bunu Regional Minister will be doing with the district chief executives in Bunu Region. Northern Region, every regional capital, district capital, every district DCE will be on board. So the mere fact that we want to let the sanitation, a groundbreaking National Sanitation Day, where there will also be a sanitation league. There will be a National Sanitation League as part of our priority.
National Sanitation League.
Just how we have the Ghana Premier League. We are also going to have a National Sanitation League where districts will be rated.
What's the plan for that? When will that be brought to bear?
Yeah, once we start it on the 3rd of May, 3rd May, the cleanest district, the cleanest region. The cleanest district, the cleanest region. In fact, I never knew we have sanitation experts in our academia like that. There are a number of academia, pastors, chiefs, who will be used to form a team, and they will be doing. We want to do it in a non-partisan way. When if they say you are last, you are last. I, as a minister, should not be on that committee, but I will be the platform who will be monitoring.
Okay.
So when we do that, there will be offenses and sanctions. So if you're a DCE, if you're a regional minister, and your region is always last, you know that there are consequences. If you're a district chief executive, metropolitan mayor, and your area of jurisdiction is last, you should know that there are consequences. So these are some of the things that we are doing.
The assemblies are crucial. So the district assemblies, common fund, and all of that has come into the fray. There have been, concerns raised time and again. The president has spoken to some of the issues in recent times. What is the plan? We also know of the assemblies, and stipends that will be given to the assemblymen and women. I want you to dilate briefly on that, even as we also look at the appointments to the districts and municipalities.
The president promised prior to the 2024 campaign that he will give allowances to assembly members. And therefore, in the 2025 budget, the president
allocations have been made.
Has allocated 100 million Ghana cedis for that. We have 606,272 as elected assembly members and 2,813 appointed assembly members. So all this together is 9,080. So all those 9,080 assembly members are going to be given 1,000 Ghana cedis a month, and it will be paid on quarterly basis. So in 2025, we are going to disburse at least 81.7 million Ghana cedis to the assembly members as allowances, and it will be paid on quarterly basis.
81.7 million.
81.7 out of the 100 million. Then in 2026, it will move to 116. In 2027, it will move to 124 million. And in 2028, it will be 131 million. So there are projections and there are plans to pay it for the 4 years, so that it is not just going to be an event in 2025.
Will you be able to raise the kind of money needed to sustain this?
The finance minister brought the income and expenditure statement estimates, and that is the budget.
All right. Just on the DCE appointments, recently there was some talk about it. The president came out and made mention of some nominees that had been put out. Of course, at the district level, they would then have to be go through the processes, the voting processes. But there still remain others. When are we going to get the full complement of the appointees or the nominees?
In fact, the president brought out 8 regions. as I speak to you, 5 regions are also ready, making 13. By next week, the remaining 3 will come, and then we are done with that. So 5 regions will come out this week. Then the remaining 3 regions will come out next week. Then we are done.
So 2 weeks from now,
this week
we should have. No, I mean with the 5 and the 3.
Oh, 2 weeks
in
from,
about a fortnight, we should be done.
We should be done. Even today, it was like Ashanti region. They are almost done with Ashanti region. So actual vetting this week and next week in Greater Accra and Eastern region, then they are done.
A quick question related to that. So in terms of your budget, you got an allocation of about 4 billion Ghana cedis. Does that suffice for your ministry, local government, chieftaincy, religious affairs to handle all of these matters you're talking about, 4 billion Ghana cedis?
Yeah, there is a problem as a country. You know, we inherited a lot of debt. And that debt, in the sanitation aspect alone, we inherited a debt of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. However, in energy sector alone, we inherited a debt of about 68 million Ghana cedis. Then, under Cocoa Board, the same thing, rules the same thing. So we had a challenge of how do we fix these problems. And the Minister for Finance said, Ahmed, you only have 1.2 billion on sanitation. And you are crying. I will take that your 1.2 billion debt. But because we don't want to go back to doing so, allow me to use the sanitation and pollution levy to be merged with the energy sector levy, to use it to be able to hold the 67 billion energy sector. But my brother, you could see what is happening in the ECG meters and those things happen at the port. But thank God, yeah, they are retrieving some. But I don't know after the retrieval how many of them they are going to retrieve and how the debt is going to go down. So we inherited a challenge. That's where the Minister for Finance and the President said, President Mahama said, the economy was criminally manded. It is handled. So if you go to our budget, in fact, our estimation to be able to do all those works was 7.6 billion. However, because of the challenge that we face, we were given 4,044,356,455 Ghana cedis. So we are down with about 3.6 billion. But I know that we were not going to spend all the 7.6 billion before July. I know government had just come. There will be the need for a media
budget review.
Depending on how we are able to judiciously spend this one, how we are able to help. The National Sanitation Day, for instance, we budgeted for 30 million Ghana cedis for the 9 months. But we were giving 5 million Ghana cedis for the 9 months. But that doesn't mean we should not do it. So because of that, we are calling on private sector participation. And gradually, the private sector is coming in. We have a company like just one group of companies, they help. Environmental service providers, they are also saying that they will bring their compactors. All that they need us to do is we should give them fuel. On that day, they will bring their compactors to do the evacuation. The arrangement of the venue, just one group of companies is also helping. Then the fuel that they are talking of, the communication, Zonda group of companies, in fact, a number of them are also showing interest. But we want to list all those people. Then we partner you so that how much we are getting from who, we'll let you know, so that you also appreciate it. Then we must make sure that we set an agenda about the behavioral change. It's not everything that is money. The advert that we are going to do on all those things, the media must also come on board so that we see how best we can help fight this. Because when COVID came, we knew and we saw the role that you played, sacrificing your life, sacrificing your time, sacrificing your resources, and you created segments for advert on how best we can help fight COVID, how we can wash our hands, use of the Veronica bucket, how every organization should have all those things. But I look as if all of a sudden we forgot. If we could fight cholera as a country, why couldn't we fight? We could fight COVID as a country. Why couldn't we fight cholera? It's because all of a sudden we went back into our shells and we forget about it. So, my good brother, you have a role to play.
We all do. I just have a final batch of questions for you in the next few minutes, and we'll be out of here. One of them, though, just touching briefly, we've spoken extensively about chieftaincy and local government. How about the religious affairs angle to your portfolio? What's the plan?
The president has also instructed us to constitute a task force on both religions, chieftains, medicine, Christian religion and the Muslim religion, because these are the two biggest religions we have in the country. And the task force in those two areas are going to be serving as interface. One, they will be able to help to form what we call National Muslim Prayer and Thanksgiving Task Force and National Christian Prayer and Thanksgiving Task Force. And we want to bring deepen what we call religious cohabitation. And we want to depoliticize most of those issues. So that mantle will be given to them. They are going to be the interface to form all those things. Devoid of political colorization, then they will be able to organize those things. The president has also said that we should institute a national prayer and Thanksgiving day, whereby it will be like we are all interdenominations. The Friday will be for Muslims, Saturday will be for SDA, then Sunday will be for the other Christians who worship on Sunday. So these are some of the things that we are doing. But you saw how the National Prayer and Thanksgiving Service was organized in the International Conference Center. We've already had two. We had the one in the Southern Belt at Accra International Conference Center. Then we had the one on the Middle Belt and the Northern Belt in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And gradually the pastors and the chiefs are very happy and they are trying to come on board. As
we talk religion and pastors and chiefs and all of that, there's this, just confirm for me whether you did make this statement. I have met with the stakeholders of the National Cathedral and we are going to continue the National Cathedral project. We'll speak up when anyone tries to muddy the project with lies and propaganda. We won't keep quiet this time. Is that you? Did you say that?
Look at my face. Do I speak that way?
No, I'm just asking you.
No, I'm asking you a simple question. Do I speak that way?
I'm asking you a pointed question. Did you say this or not? Did you say that or not?
No, I didn't. Clearly speaking, I was very hurt when I saw it. But I'm the type, I'm always, you cannot gag me in the media. And that's why ministers shy away from coming to the media. But I was groomed by the media and I will never run. I came to Adum FM yesterday, Adum TV, yesterday. By the time the video, so I went for the video and sent it to the powers that be. Listen to the entire video. This is what I said at Adum. So why should somebody misconstrue me? And you know, sitting at the seat that I sit, there are a lot of competitors who wouldn't wish that I'm here. So if I come, and if it had come from Adum TV, that they said that this is what I'm...
Which it did not. Ghana Today that is cited.
Exactly. So if it had been that, I would have been a bit worried. I went there, we are helping each other. So how can you bring me to crucify me? Knowing very well that I didn't say this. Then the person who...
But what then also should be the reaction sometimes when people...
No. If you say we are going to do this, we are going to do this, you say, I don't speak this way. But clearly, this person came out at Adum. I was asked as to what is the plans are with the National Cathedral. And I said, the president has instructed me to meet with the cathedral secretary, the clergy. Because the clergy, they wrote that they wanted to meet the president. The president said, cathedral now is under the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. So he referred that letter to me, and I met them. I met them and listened to them. And my brother, you see, when you are a leader and you are dealing with situations, until you draw conclusions, don't preempt the discussions. So when I was asked, I said, yes, this thing that cathedral that you are talking of, the president has instructed me to meet with the cathedral secretariat, and I have done that. Professor Pokunyana, Reverend Opune Frimpong, Joyce Ayi, all of them, the Methodist bishop, all of them, they came. And we sat down, they came with presentations. We sat down and said, look, the cathedral, let's all of us handle it with care. Because one, it's also a national security issue. If you can't just give somebody a bad name when you have not listened to him. And that's why the president said we should listen to them. And when they came, they said, within the interrogation, they said they have constructed Deloitte group of companies which is an internationally acclaimed auditing group, to audit everything about the cathedral. So that audit is ongoing.
Okay, all right.
And they are yet to conclude their findings. And I said, that will be good news. I'm waiting for that audit to come because we also have done a lot of research in this area. Before you call such people, you must also do your research. And there is much that Ghanaians need to know. So until that is done.
In a nutshell, you want to wait till the report is out.
The report will be.
And this was a misrepresentation of
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Just my final point.
I ended the statement by saying that, so until the report is out and we finish the discussions, how do you expect me to comment on this? So I will not comment.
All right.
That was my presentation.
As an MP, I just want to find out the bit about the 55.2 million allocated to constituencies, 200,000 each to fund education at the constituency level. It has been increased from 150,000. But then we find out that constituencies are supposed to receive this on the back of education-related matters, but members of parliament are getting 150,000 Ghana cedis to monitor, to supervise
every
the project.
Month. Every month.
You are getting 150,000.
No, I'm asking you every month
to monitor this project. Does it have to be monthly?
That's what I'm asking you.
No, but does it have to be monthly?
Okay, it means you don't know, then I'll tell you it's not every month.
No,
it's every year.
No, no one is saying that it's every month. No one has said that it's every month. The 200,000 Ghana cedis.
Let me come to.
No, let me.
No, I'm coming to.
You are getting 200,000.
You know, I don't run away from questions.
Okay, you go ahead
then. My good brother, the problem is this. You see, when Parliament started, there was nothing like MP's Common Fund. There was nothing like this amount that you are saying. MPs were not given cars. MPs were not given houses. So two MPs could come together to buy a second-hand Toyota Camry. Two MPs who. This is how Parliament started in fourth. It
is clear things have changed. Let's come to the president.
January,
speak to the
I'm coming there. In January 1993, MPs were doing the work, we'll see from 10 to 2. We're not interested in salaries. And people, you, Ghanaians, you could print your T-shirts and come to a party rally without demanding the T-shirts from me. Gradually, we'll come to a stage. Even going to a party rally, you will pay for your TNT. That's how we started, though. It was a kind of voluntary work. Gradually, we've gotten to a stage. You yourself, you will testify. By the time the MP comes from his room, the place is a market. Certain programs are
that would be that would be the doing partly of the members of parliament, so and where we are but because of time, I want you to address the question. You are giving these constituencies 200,000 Ghana.
No, it's not 200.
And it's not supervised.
It's not 200.
You just let me land. If it's not 200, you correct me. And to supervise, to monitor, the member of parliament is getting 150.
I'm giving you.
Why wouldn't we have added a chunk of that money to the 200,000? The one who put up this information there did not pull the full information. And I'm telling you that even the 200,000 is 250,000. You know, I will not hide any facts. It's 250,000 for the project. And the project, 250,000, is that maybe 250,000 times 4 years is how much? That's about $1 million.
It's 1 million. It cannot even build 6 classroom units. You understand? But maybe there's emergency emergency needy but brilliant students. They shall get fund scholarship. The needy but brilliant students in Tatale, Zabzugu, Napanduri, who may not be able to come to get fund and to apply, may not get it. Then the MP goes there. Then the person said, "Oh, Honorable, I was the first in the district. I wanted to go to university and I don't have money." You are allowed.
Sure those funds will go.
You are allowed to use that part of the 250,000 to because that 250,000 times 4 months, 4 years cannot build 6 unit classroom. One 6 unit classroom is 1.6 million.
Right.
Then you come to the monitoring. The budget is 10.3 billion. That's what we are going to monitor. But you see, if Ghanaians want to crucify you, they give you a very bad name, like they nearly did to me yesterday. Because Man seat.
Okay.
My reserve bench is like the Senegalese team.
Right.
The number of people who want to be here.
Right. Ahmed Ibrahim.
So every day.
This is where we are going.
So you are going to monitor 10.3 billion Ghana cedis.
Right.
It's not only 200,000 though. They are going to use 150,000 to monitor 200,000. Oh, my brother.
Per constituency.
I pray that one day you come to Parliament.
If you look at the overall figure, you will see what you see. But per constituency, you are spending 150,000 to do this monitoring.
The problem is.
But we have to go. we have to go. I'm sure we'll have more time to exhaust some of these matters. But it's 200,000 we are looking at.
No, it's 250,000.
But thank you.
What was approved was 250,000.
Right.
But the entire budget is 10.3 billion. That's what you are going to monitor.
Okay, right. If you break it down, it still comes down to what we are discussing. Ahmed Ibrahim is Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. He joined us today for an all-encompassing conversation on his work. We wish you the very best. Hopefully all the things you've said about sanitation and all of that will come to bear. Well, we're taking a breather. We'll be back with more action on the AM show shortly. Do stay.